you might want to give them this. I think any late teenager, late in terms of late teens, not late like she done missed a period. Hey everybody, I'm Shanae. This is Shanae's Law. Thank you for tuning in. And if you are like me and 1.5 million plus people in the world, you are stuck at home because you know why? The Rona has taken over. But don't you fret. There's plenty of things to do. Keep yourself occupied, entertained while you're at home. I know a lot of you may feel that this is challenging and you're getting bored out your mind. Some of us are 3 weeks in, kicked off from the job to working home. Hopefully you got a desk to work from home, but it's another video. Anywho, today we're going to discuss 5 great books for you to read while you are quarantined. And I didn't mean for that to rhyme, but it does. So we're just going to roll with it. Now, you've probably run out of Netflix movies and Netflix shows. You're probably running yourself ragged. The video games just ain't hitting like they used to. And so, instead of you running bored out of your mind and running out of ideas, these are great 5 books that you can utilize. Now, these books, I have finished just reading all of them or listening to all of them within the span of last 6 to 7 weeks. So right before the Rona broke out and sent everybody home, I was listening to 2 audible books to and from work. And I finished them just in a nick of time before getting sent home. And then I just kind of started reading when I got home and had time. So the first 2 books, these 2 guys right here, we're going to discuss. I actually heard on Audible, but they were really good books. We'll talk about this one first. The first one is The Autobiography of Gucci Mane. I'm sorry. It is an overall, let me stop laughing. It is an overall great detailed account of his life. You learn a lot about him growing up in Alabama and his introduction to the dope game. For instance, he really got introduced into the dope game because he was tired of a life of poverty, and his big brother used to roll out of cool dope boys that he ended up idolizing, and it kind of became his thing. He also always had an interest in music, but he wanted to be like a label owner. He wanted to be the boss, the production, the manager. He really didn't have his eyes set on being an artist. And then he kind of got into it. He met Zaytoven, and they've been running together ever since. And without giving too much away, it's actually a good book. I hate that he doesn't narrate it. There's another guy that does the narration. He does a really good job. He's entertaining. He's really good with the fluctuations of the voice and everything. So you can get into it while you're driving or cleaning up. But one of the interesting things I learned was that his daddy was called Gucci Mane. So he kind of just took his daddy's persona on and made it a stage name. I thought that was dope. He talks about this interaction with Juvenile where they were supposed to do a record together back in Juvenile's heyday, and then it ended up becoming, allegedly, Juvenile wanted to produce the song and Gucci going off on the man on his tour bus saying, "You're no Manny Fresh. I've never heard you doing production for music. I paid you for a verse. I want my verse. I don't want a beat from you." And he got kicked off the tour bus. Like, it was a whole deal. It's a whole deal. So it was a really great read. He chronicles his ins and outs of jail, his legal battles with the system. And he admits to some, let me stop laughing. He admits to some of the faults of his past and the mistakes he's made, and he kind of addresses them. But I want to say this. Now, if you were anything like me, Gucci Mane in your childhood was Candyman. He was the boogeyman. You heard about him knocking females out of cars while they were moving. He was always into some stuff. And I know the media can spin and make black men look bad in our society, but some of this stuff was on World Star. And some of this stuff I did see with my ocular vision at school while it was on the internet. Some of this stuff simply can't be watered down or denied. But they did a really good job of putting him in the best light and taking responsibility, but not really. And, of course, I know him and Jeezy. He just made Jeezy seem like a straight up hater the whole book. Of course, it's his book. It's his truth. The actual truth, we'll never know. If Jeezy write a book, he might trash Gucci, but it's like, bro, come on now. I live in the South, and I was little, and I was a teenager. I couldn't go to them clubs, but people talk. People talk, people record stuff, people put stuff on the internet. So when y'all are at these radio stations and stuff around here, it get around. But anyway, it's overall a good book. It stops right when he gets out of jail. So you don't hear anything about that wedding he had in 2017. You don't really hear anything about anything he's done since then. But he said he wrote this book while he was in jail. But, you know, it's a good read overall. Now, I don't want to give too much away, but it's worth the read or worth the listen. Again, I did the Audible. I had a two book try for Audible, and I said, why not? I've been wanting to read that Gucci, and I've been wanting to read this next book. Now, one of our favorite actresses who's relatable and a little bit hood herself is Miss Taraji P. Henson. So this second book I read or listened to, Around the Way Girl. Now, the title itself is very fitting. She's definitely an Around the Way girl. And I really, really enjoyed her book. And I was just so excited. I remember right when I got finished reading it, she dropped her Vogue tutorial on YouTube. So if you haven't checked that out, go ahead and do it. She's just a ball of sunshine. But I really enjoyed it. For one, she narrates her book. She narrates the Audible, and it's so much more personable. You feel like you get to know her, and you hear it straight from the horse's mouth. No third party, you know, no middleman. So you really feel a connection with her. And if you're already a fan, you know some things about her, but you get to know a little bit more about her personality, how she overcame her obstacles, and a little bit where she comes from. Because at the end of the day, you don't really hear too much about Taraji. She's kind of private. Her Instagram really don't show us too much. It just shows us enough. But the book is really gritty and raw. She provides an entire account of her life early on, which is important because it shaped who she is today. She discusses the continuation of domestic violence in her early childhood, as well as with the situation she faced with her child's father. That actually prompted her to be able to play Yvette really well in Baby Boy and give you that no nonsense kind of young ghetto love that her and Jodie had. She kind of already lived it. But I know it just really provides a lot of good insight on her rise to fame and the challenges that she faced along the way. All of her frequent hardships, she kind of went through it. I know she was in and out of school a lot. She ended up going back to school. She ended up going to Howard University, you know, for theater and acting. She talked about how one of her best friends ended up as extras and how hard it was to get the fly clothes and makeup to be extras in Malcolm X, the 1992 autobiography film of Malcolm X, of course. She talked about all these roles she had to do and how hard it was to be an extra. You had to be on call and you had to be like on set, and it was just a lot. You learn about how hard it is for Black actresses, period, then and now. She even talks about how she got some of her most memorable roles. For instance, she didn't even want to play Cookie. She thought Cookie was just the normal, average, stereotypical baby mama, and she felt like she had already done that with Yvette. But Cookie was something different, and if you're anything like me, you love the first few seasons of Empire, honey. Cookie is everything. Empire will not really be what it is without Cookie lying too much, because she gives it that nice feminine touch. So she didn't talk about smoking aces. Yeah, she left out a few things. I don't think she mentioned. I remember when you can watch reruns. I think she was on Sister once. She talked about Benjamin Button. She talked about a lot of movies. I think this book cuts off before Hidden Figures, because she doesn't talk about that. She mentions No Good Deed and how she had to basically beg Idris Elba to be in a movie. I'm like, you had to beg The Wire to be in your movie? He that Hollywood? He ended up doing it, of course, but he kept making excuses about being busy. And I'm like, oof, okay now. Anyway, moving on. Another great book that I read the actual physical copy of this book. I was really shocked. I seen everybody with the book and I thought, please, honey, you know, I don't want to be a follower. I do think she's a credible woman, but I was like, So the book had dropped down on Amazon, so I went on and got it, and I have no regrets. She delivered. This is actually a really good read. It's kind of long, y'all. But the font is fairly large. So you can do it. Yes, it is over 400 pages, but it was worth it. See, I flagged it. I should have flagged more in here. It's only like 419 pages. But it's a good read. It did take me a little while, y'all. It took me about, I want to say, closer to a month. Because if you're busy with a life, you know, it take a little minute. But it is good. It sucks you in and you keep going. She got little pictures in here and everything. Now, Michelle Obama is an incredible woman. What I love about this book is, you know, it's her actual autobiography. She wrote that she took time out Discusses her childhood, her educational background, how she got her degrees, what she had to do to get those degrees, her brushes with poverty. She had like an aunt that played the piano. They ended up living with her for a while. And it talks about how she met Barack Obama as an intern at her law firm. And she was like, everybody was captivated by him. He was charismatic and charming. And she didn't really like him like that at first. I also love how she emphasizes how important it is to stay true to yourself, your needs, your wants, and your dreams. Even if you are with a high profile person on the rise, she was still working. She still had these hot shot jobs, even while he was, running for senator, being senator. She actually quit her job when he became president. A lot of us didn't know that. We knew she was extremely intelligent, but we didn't know she was still working and holding it down until he got into the White House. So basically, she never gave up on herself. Even though she had a powerful mate, she was still in control of her destiny, and she still held it down. And we've seen it in the White House. She was still coming up with things to do. She wanted to be a different first lady. And she chronicles just the account of what it's like and how your life changed and how you can't do nothing no more. You can't wear shorts no more. They just really judge you for everything. How your hair is and how it was an adjustment to have all these people at your beck and call. And not really just, for your comfort, but for kind of like to be like a handler almost. It's pretty sad. Now, I learned a lot in here. I learned about her. I learned about her family, her work ethic. Like, her parents were real big on education and things. Learned about her and her brother living in Southside Chicago, and how she had like a bully at one point. It's really good. It's really good. I think from reading this book, she come off all sweet and sophisticated, but I promise you, I think Michelle Obama would whoop somebody's ass if she had to. But it's a good book. I even she talked about the president and how they kind of it's really all about him. Okay, PLOTUS. It's all about PLOTUS, and she was FLOTUS. And I thought it was just how important the president is. They keep a blood supply on the man at all times for this man. A blood supply. Think about that. That was just one of the things she mentioned. But that stood out to me. It was like, they keep blood on hand for him. So, everybody different. Every president different. So they had to get his blood tight, and they got some blood just ready. A doctor, like, everybody's just ready in case they get real. Woo. That was intense. You should definitely read this. It's not just a chick book. This is a really good book. And I ain't capping, you know what I mean? I'm not just saying that because it's her. It's actually good. And all the people you see with that book in the background, I hope they actually read it. You can learn a lot. Now, I actually read another book by a brother. You may have seen. He's married to Megan Good. His name is Devon Franklin. And it's called The Truth About Men. Now, men are some very complex creatures. They don't like to admit how complex they are. But they are. They're more complex than women, honey. They're a lot of work. This is actually a good book, too. I'd already read The Wait. He has a lot of books. He has like the 10 Hollywood Commandments, and he has another one was Produced by Faith. So he's actually a good author. I can get jiggy with it. I read this one too. I read this in like 5 days. The font's pretty big, y'all. You can get through this. You know what I'm saying? Of course, I annotated. I flagged a lot. It's written for men, but it gives a more detailed account of their struggles with their sexual appetite, if you will, and their thirst and hunger for power and fame and fortune and women. He calls it the dog, and he says they all have it, but you've got to learn how to control it and keep it under control, and it's a continuation of control for the remainder of your life, whether you're single, married, being a man whore, or undecided. It's an ongoing thing with you controlling that dog within inside of you. And he teaches men how to control the dog in any given situation and reminding you of ways to keep the dog controlled. Even if it comes to thinking about having pictures of your woman on your phone to keep you from doing anything appropriate. He talks about getting out of inappropriate situations, how to avoid them. And it's really good. And he addresses women here as well. He tells us signs of when the man's dog is out of control, what to do, what not to do, to hold him accountable, but don't curse him out about it because men shut down. So it was a really good read. I don't regret reading it at all, actually. He even got like a little worksheets in here for men. So if the man reads this book, he needs to it's actually like a workbook. He got like Q&A in here. It was like a multiple choice quiz in here or two. So it's more like a workbook for them. They need to really get in here and do the work. Like these psychiatrists say, you got to do the work if you want to control your dog. But what I loved about it is that he was saying how when a man decides that he does want to settle down, he needs to start doing it before he even get a girl. Because if he don't control the dog and learn how to master certain situations to stay out of trouble until he gets married, then it's going to be harder for him to control that appetite and to be bad and get, you know, to get disrespectful if he's married. So they got to start before they start getting committed relationships. So I hope men are reading this, because ain't nobody got time for these games. We tired of having to slap them. I'm just playing. Anyway, book I just finished Thursday. Was it Thursday? Yes, a book I just finished 2 days ago. Now I love, oh y'all, Theraflu break. Y'all know I'm going through some stuff. I love Real Housewives of Atlanta. I love Married to Medicine. This is Dr. Jackie, aka Jacqueline Walters. Dr. Jackie from Married to Medicine. She had been talking about this book last season. I know this new season should be coming up. We know she's knowledgeable, her Dr. Simone, but this book is actually really good. It's not an autobiography. It's more of a reference. So any woman of any age can read this book and enjoy it. She talks about a lot of good things. It's an excellent read for women and men too, because men love vagina. Why not go ahead and get your book too? So she discusses everything from sex, abortions, miscarriages, menopause, menstrual cycles, fibroids, everything, STIs, STDs. She discusses everything in here from the rooter to the tutor. And I really think every woman should be reading this. She talks about controlling your cycles, contraceptives, everything, the good, the bad, the ugly, the in between, the undecided, and the still under research. She goes in. And of course, I annotated my tail off because this is a book I'm going to always refer to. Being a young lady, I need to know what's going on. Is this a sign? Is this not a sign? Is it normal? You know, how does it impact me? She talks, the whole book is based off of 5 vagina personalities, as she calls them. I think it's one called the Virgin Mary, the Sanctified Snatched, the Mary Jane, and the Chondriac, the Coochie Chondriatric, and the Notorious VAG, honey. And yeah, so it's a really good read. It's a really good reference again for female anatomy. I don't want to give too much away, but it's a book that you probably just need to have all times and just keep it. And if you got a question, you know, other than Googling it, you can always go here. She even has an index, y'all. So you can kind of just look your topic up. She got a table of contents, which is different. A lot of books really don't, because nonfiction has been my jam lately. A lot of them don't really have the table of contents to make it a quick reference. Again, you know, get in, get out, you know, get your questions answered. So it's going to make a great gift too. You got a female with a birthday coming up, or even Mother's Day. Somebody dealing with fibroids, you know, somebody dealing with things they don't know nothing about. A young lady figuring out her sexuality. You got like a little 16 or 17-year-old girl. Without scaring them too much, you might want to give them this. I think any late teenager, late in terms of late teens, not late like she done missed a period. Yeah, this is a good book, you know. So I recommend this one too. I just finished it 2 days ago. It didn't take long as well. Her font is a smidget smaller. I ain't gonna front. But it's a good read. Once you get in there, you're in. So, and I will be continuing to read thus far. You know, I've also finished Behold a Pale Horror. I'm currently reading That Came Before Columbus, but that's too deep for some of y'all, so we won't discuss those. But yeah, so while you're bunkering down and you know, dealing with the quarantine, these are 5 good books that you could go ahead and read and, you know, learn about yourself, learn about others, improve yourself, add some excitement to your daily regimen of being stuck at home. So I hope this video helps you guys out a lot. I will see you in my next video. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, protect your energy.